The sound of splintering tiles echoed through the sleepy suburban streets as Samantha watched in horror. The HOA president stood over her front yard, mallet in hand, cackling maniacally. This was no maintenance issue. It was an act of war. Samantha's heart raced as she realized her quirky art installation had sparked a battle that would shake the very foundations of her neighborhood. Samantha had always been the odd one out on Maple Avenue. While her neighbors manicured their lawns and color-coordinated their shutters, she expressed her creativity through unconventional means. Her latest project, a mosaic of shattered tiles arranged in abstract patterns, was intended to be an homage to the imperfect beauty of life. Little did she know it would set off a chain of events that would test the limits of her sanity. It started with a strongly worded letter from the Homeowners Association, citing her unsightly and dangerous display as a violation of neighborhood guidelines. Samantha scoffed at the accusation, proudly displaying her work for all to see. "It's art, you Philistines," she yelled, knowing full well her neighbors would neither understand nor appreciate her vision. The next week, the HOA president, Judith, came knocking on Samantha's door, her usual veneer of forced pleasantness cracked by annoyance. "Samantha, dear, I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you to remove that thing in your yard. It's simply unacceptable." Samantha crossed her arms defiantly. "It's not going anywhere, Judith. This is my home, and I'll decorate it as I please." Judith's eyes narrowed. "Very well, but don't say I didn't warn you." With that, she turned on her heel and stormed off, her pearls bouncing with each indignant step. The next morning, Samantha awoke to the sound of shattering ceramic. Rushing outside, she found Judith standing in her yard, a mallet in hand, methodically destroying her carefully curated masterpiece. "What on earth are you doing?" Samantha cried, her voice shrill with shock and outrage. Judith paused, a twisted smile spreading across her face. "Why, I'm simply following the HOA guidelines, dear. Your little art installation has got to go." Samantha could feel her blood boiling as she watched her work crumble beneath Judith's relentless blows. "This is vandalism, Judith. You can't just come onto my property and destroy my things." Judith's smile only widened. "Oh, but I can, Samantha. And I will, until you learn to respect the rules of this community." Samantha opened her mouth to protest, but the words caught in her throat as she realized the futility of her situation. Judith was the tyrant of Maple Avenue, and she had the full backing of the HOA to do as she pleased. Samantha could only stand by, helpless, as her art was reduced to shards. As the last tile fell, Judith straightened up, dusting off her hands with an air of satisfaction. "There, that's better. Now, I do hope you'll consider a more conventional approach to yard decor in the future." With that, she turned and marched back to her own pristine property, leaving Samantha to survey the ruins of her masterpiece. Samantha stood in stunned silence, her eyes burning with tears of rage and frustration. She had poured her heart and soul into that mosaic, and now it lay in pieces at her feet. But as the initial shock wore off, a new determination began to take hold. She would not let Judith and the HOA get away with this. This was war. Samantha spent the next few days holed up in her home, furiously brainstorming a plan of retaliation. She knew she couldn't match Judith's brute force tactics, but she was determined to find a way to fight back against the HOA's tyranny. As she stared at the shattered remains of her mosaic, an idea began to take shape. This wasn't just about her art anymore. It was about standing up to the oppressive forces that sought to control her community, and she knew just the person who could help. Later that afternoon, Samantha made her way to City Hall, bypassing the bewildered receptionist and marching straight into the mayor's office. "Ah, Samantha, to what do I owe this unexpected pleasure?" Mayor Wilkins greeted her with a warm smile, seemingly unfazed by her sudden appearance. Samantha took a deep breath. "Mayor Wilkins, I need your help. The HOA has gone too far this time. They destroyed my art installation, my hard work, my vision. All because it didn't fit their narrow definition of acceptable. The mayor's brow furrowed with concern. I see. And what exactly would you like me to do about it? I'd want to hold an event, a celebration of art and self-expression in our community. Something that will send a clear message to the HOA that their stranglehold on our neighborhood has to end. Samantha's eyes gleamed with determination. Mayor Wilkins leaned back in his chair, stroking his chin thoughtfully. An art festival, you say? Well, that does sound like an intriguing idea. And I must say, I'm quite fond of your particular brand of artistic nonconformity. He flashed her a conspiratorial wink. Samantha felt a surge of hope. So you'll help me. My dear, you have my full support. The mayor stood up and extended his hand. Let's show Maple Avenue that art is not a crime. Samantha grasped his hand, a triumphant grin spreading across her face. It's a deal. This is war, Mayor Wilkins, and we're going to win. As she hurried out of City Hall, Samantha could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The HOA had no idea what was coming. This was her chance to not only reclaim her artistic freedom, but to liberate her entire community from the clutches of Judith and her cronies. The battle lines had been drawn, and Samantha was more than ready for the fight. Over the next few weeks, Samantha's living room became the nerve center of a grassroots artistic revolution. With the mayor's backing, she set to work organizing the Maple Avenue Arts Festival, a 2-day celebration of creativity, self-expression, and community empowerment. The word spread quickly through the neighborhood, and soon Samantha found herself inundated with inquiries from local artists, musicians, and craftspeople eager to participate. What had started as a personal vendetta against the HOA was quickly blossoming into a full-fledged cultural movement. Judith, of course, was less than thrilled by the prospect. She stormed into Samantha's home, her face flushed with outrage. Samantha, what is the meaning of this festival you've been planning? She demanded, her voice dripping with disdain. Samantha met her gaze unflinchingly. It's quite simple, Judith. I'm reclaiming my right to express myself in my own community, and I've got the mayor's full support. Judith's eyes widened in shock. The mayor? But he can't possibly approve of your vandalism. On the contrary, Judith, Samantha replied smoothly. The mayor sees the value in celebrating the diversity of artistic expression in Maple Avenue. Unlike you, he understands that true community isn't about conformity. It's about embracing our differences and coming together in a spirit of mutual respect. Judith sputtered, her carefully crafted facade of civility crumbling. This is an outrage. I won't allow you to turn our neighborhood into some kind of sideshow freak show. Samantha raised a hand to silence her. It's too late, Judith. The festival is happening, whether you like it or not. And I'd strongly advise you to reconsider your position. You don't want to be on the wrong side of the mayor, do you? Judith's face contorted with barely contained rage. Mark my words, Samantha. This isn't over. You and your little arts festival are going to be the ruin of this community. With that, she whirled around and stormed out, the door slamming behind her. Samantha couldn't help but chuckle to herself. Judith had no idea what was coming. Over the next few weeks, Samantha worked tirelessly, coordinating with local artists, musicians, and vendors to transform the sleepy streets of Maple Avenue into a vibrant, colorful celebration of creativity and self-expression. Banners were hung, stages were erected, and the buzz of anticipation filled the air. Finally, the day of the festival arrived, and Samantha stood back, surveying the scene with a sense of pride and accomplishment. This wasn't just about her art anymore. It was about reclaiming the soul of her community, one brushstroke, one melody, one handcrafted trinket at a time. As the first visitors began to arrive, Samantha caught sight of Judith, her face twisted with a mixture of fury and helplessness. Samantha couldn't help but flash her a triumphant grin. The battle had been joined, and the war for the heart and soul of Maple Avenue was just beginning. The Maple Avenue Arts Festival burst into life, a riot of color, sound, and unbridled creativity. Samantha watched with a sense of giddy triumph as her fellow residents explored the vibrant array of stalls, exhibits, and performance stages. The usual staid conformity of the neighborhood had been swept aside, replaced by a palpable energy and a spirit of joyful self-expression. Neighbors who had once eyed each other with suspicion now mingled freely, bonding over shared artistic passions. Even the mayor, true to his word, had arrived to lend his support, greeting the throngs of visitors with a warm smile and a hearty handshake. Samantha couldn't help but feel a swell of gratitude towards the man who had refused to be cowed by Judith and her HOA cronies. As she made her way through the bustling crowds, Samantha caught glimpses of her own handiwork. The shattered tile mosaic she had lovingly reassembled, now displayed as the centerpiece of the festival. The fragments had been transformed into a kaleidoscopic masterpiece, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. But amidst the revelry, Samantha couldn't help but notice a familiar figure lurking at the edges of the crowd, her face a mask of barely contained rage. Judith, it seemed, had decided to make an appearance, no doubt hoping to disrupt the proceedings. Samantha made her way over to the mayor, who was conversing animatedly with a group of local artists. "Mayor Wilkins, Judith is here. I think she's up to something." The mayor's brow furrowed with concern. "I see. Well, we can't have that, can we?" He turned to the nearby police officers, who had been discreetly monitoring the event. "Gentlemen, would you be so kind as to keep an eye on our esteemed HOA president? I have a feeling she might be tempted to, interfere with the festivities." The officers nodded and quickly moved to intercept Judith, who was already making her way towards the main stage, her expression one of barely contained fury. Samantha watched with a sense of grim satisfaction as Judith was politely but firmly escorted off the premises, her protests drowned out by the joyful sounds of the festival. It was a small victory, to be sure, but one that filled her with a renewed sense of purpose. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the scene, Samantha found herself surrounded by a throng of her neighbors, all of them beaming with gratitude and pride. For once, the rigid divisions that had once defined Maple Avenue had been erased, replaced by a newfound sense of community and mutual understanding. Samantha couldn't help but feel a swell of emotion as she surveyed the scene. This was more than just a victory over the HOA. It was a reclamation of the very soul of her neighborhood, and she knew that the battle was far from over. The success of the Maple Avenue Arts Festival sent shockwaves through the community, and Samantha found herself thrust into the spotlight as a champion of artistic expression and community empowerment. Buoyed by the enthusiastic support of her neighbors and the mayor, she began to dream of even bolder acts of defiance against the HOA's stifling grip on the neighborhood. Surely, if a simple art festival could bring such joy and unity, what else might be possible? As Samantha mulled over her next move, she received an unexpected visitor at her door. Judith, her usual veneer of forced pleasantness cracked by a barely contained rage. "Samantha, we need to talk." Judith's voice was low and venomous. "This little festival of yours has caused nothing but trouble. It's time to put an end to this nonsense." Samantha regarded her coolly. "I'm afraid that's not going to happen, Judith. The people of Maple Avenue have spoken, and they've made it clear that they want more, not less, opportunities for self-expression and community engagement." Judith's eyes narrowed to slits. "That's where you're wrong, my dear. The HOA has been the backbone of this neighborhood for decades, and we won't allow a handful of misguided artists to undermine our authority." "Your authority is nothing more than petty tyranny," Samantha shot back, her voice rising with indignation. "You've spent years bullying and intimidating your neighbors, all in the name of maintaining some twisted vision of order. Well, I've got news for you, Judith. The people are tired of living under your thumb." Judith's face contorted with fury. "How dare you? This is our community, and we will not stand for this kind of disrespect. If you refuse to comply with the HOA's guidelines, then we'll have no choice but to take more drastic measures." Samantha felt a chill run down her spine at the ominous threat, but she refused to back down. "Go ahead, Judith. Do your worst. But know this, the people of Maple Avenue are with me, and they won't be silenced so easily." With that, Samantha slammed the door in Judith's face, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and defiance. She knew that the HOA president was not one to be trifled with, and she steeled herself for the inevitable confrontation to come. As she paced her living room, Samantha's gaze fell upon the partially reassembled mosaic that had started it all. In its fragmented beauty, she saw a reflection of her own struggle. A battle against the forces of conformity and control, fought with the power of creativity and community. With a newfound sense of purpose, Samantha began to plan her next move, determined to give the HOA a taste of their own medicine. This was no longer just about her art. It was about the very soul of Maple Avenue, and she would do whatever it took to protect it. Samantha spent the next few days holed up in her home, her mind racing with ideas for her next move against the HOA. She knew that Judith and her cronies were not going to back down without a fight, and she needed to be ready. As she pored over her sketches and notes, an idea began to take shape. A bold, audacious plan that would shake the very foundations of the Maple Avenue establishment. It was risky, to be sure, but Samantha was determined to take the fight directly to the HOA's doorstep. Reaching out to her newfound network of artistic allies, Samantha began to quietly assemble her team, carefully coordinating the logistics and refining the details of her plan. The stakes were high, but the potential rewards were even greater. The chance to truly free her community from the oppressive grip of the HOA. Finally, the day of the big reveal arrived, and Samantha found herself standing before a sea of expectant faces, her neighbors, the mayor, and even a few local media outlets, all eager to witness the latest chapter in the ongoing saga. As the crowd fell silent, Samantha stepped forward, her eyes shining with determination. "My friends, we stand here today not just as artists, but as citizens, citizens who refuse to be silenced, who refuse to be cowed by the narrow-minded dictates of the Homeowners Association." A murmur of approval rippled through the crowd, and Samantha continued, her voice gathering strength. "For too long, Judith and her cronies have sought to control our community, to stifle our creativity and our individuality. But no more. Today, we fight back, with the power of our art, the strength of our community, and the unwavering support of our mayor." With a dramatic flourish, Samantha unveiled her creation, a towering, larger-than-life mosaic, crafted from the very shattered tiles that had once been the centerpiece of her ill-fated art installation. But this was no mere work of art. It was a defiant declaration of war against the HOA. As the crowd gasped in awe, Samantha gestured towards the mosaic, her voice ringing out with a sense of triumph. "Behold the cracked tiles of Maple Avenue, a monument to our resistance, a testament to the power of the human spirit. And tomorrow, my friends, we will be taking this creation to the very heart of the HOA headquarters, where it will stand as a symbol of our refusal to be silenced." The crowd erupted into thunderous applause, their cheers echoing through the streets of Maple Avenue. Samantha basked in the moment, feeling a surge of pride and determination. The battle lines had been drawn, and the war for the soul of her community was about to reach its crescendo. The morning of the grand unveiling at the HOA headquarters dawned bright and clear, and Samantha found herself buzzing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Today, her daring plan would be put to the ultimate test, and the fate of Maple Avenue hung in the balance. As she and her team of volunteer artists carefully loaded the massive mosaic onto a flat truck, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of giddiness. The sight of the towering, shattered tile sculpture was a powerful visual metaphor, a testament to the resilience and defiance of her community. When they arrived at the imposing, colonial-style HOA building, Samantha could feel the eyes of her neighbors upon them, their faces a mix of anticipation and apprehension. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, addressing the small crowd that had gathered. "My friends, the time has come to reclaim our neighborhood, to stand up to the oppressive forces that have sought to control us for far too long." Her voice rang out with a sense of conviction. This mosaic, these cracked tiles of Maple Avenue, represents the fractures in our community, the divisions, the conformity, the stifling of our individuality. But it also represents our resilience, our determination to forge a new path forward. With a nod to her team, Samantha watched as they carefully maneuvered the mosaic into place, directly in front of the HOA's main entrance. The shattered tiles glinted in the morning sun, a bold and unapologetic statement of defiance. Suddenly, the front doors of the building flew open, and Judith emerged, her face contorted with rage. "What is the meaning of this abomination?" she screeched, her voice carrying across the rapidly swelling crowd. Samantha stepped forward, her chin held high. "This, Judith, is the voice of the people of Maple Avenue. We will no longer be silenced, no longer be cowed by your petty tyranny. This mosaic is a symbol of our collective refusal to conform to your narrow vision of what our community should be." Judith's eyes narrowed to slits. "You have gone too far, Samantha. This is an act of vandalism, pure and simple. I will not stand for it." "Oh, but you will, Judith," Samantha shot back, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. "Because this mosaic is here to stay, a constant reminder of the power of the people. And if you try to remove it, you'll have to answer to the entire neighborhood and the mayor." As if on cue, Mayor Wilkins emerged from the crowd, his expression one of grave determination. "Judith, I'm afraid Samantha is quite right. The cracked tiles of Maple Avenue are a work of public art, and they will remain here, a testament to the creativity and resilience of this community." Judith's face drained of color, her usual veneer of composure shattered. She sputtered, her eyes darting frantically between Samantha and the mayor, but she knew she had been outmaneuvered. With a final, impotent glare, Judith retreated back into the HOA headquarters, the doors slamming shut behind her. The crowd erupted into cheers, and Samantha felt a surge of exhilaration. The battle had been won, and the tide was turning in favor of the people of Maple Avenue. In the days and weeks that followed, the cracked tiles of Maple Avenue became a symbol of the neighborhood's newfound unity and defiance. Locals flocked to the mosaic, adding their own personal touches and expressions of solidarity, transforming it into a living, evolving work of community art. Judith and the HOA, realizing they had been outmatched, grudgingly retreated, their once ironclad grip on the community slowly slipping away. Samantha watched with a sense of triumph as her neighbors reclaimed their streets, organizing more festivals, block parties, and public art installations, each one a middle finger to the forces of conformity. As the months passed, Samantha's once solitary crusade had blossomed into a full-fledged revolution, one that had captured the attention of the entire city. Reporters and curious onlookers flocked to Maple Avenue, drawn by the story of a community that had risen up against the tyranny of its own homeowners association. And at the center of it all stood Samantha, her mosaic a towering testament to the power of creativity, community, and the indomitable human spirit. She had fought, and she had won, not just for herself, but for every resident of Maple Avenue who had dared to dream of a better, more vibrant future. One day, as Samantha stood admiring the cracked tiles, Mayor Wilkins approached her, a warm smile on his face. "You know, Samantha, I've been thinking about making this a permanent public art installation. What do you think?" Samantha felt a surge of pride and gratitude. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Mr. Mayor. This mosaic has become the heart and soul of our community. It deserves to be preserved, to stand as a testament to what we can achieve when we come together." The mayor nodded, his eyes twinkling. Then it settled. The cracked tiles of Maple Avenue will be a lasting symbol of your community's resilience, a reminder that art, creativity, and the power of the people can triumph over even the most entrenched forces of oppression. As Samantha watched the mayor stride away, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The battle had been hard fought, but in the end, the people of Maple Avenue had emerged victorious. Their community had been reborn, a phoenix rising from the ashes of conformity and control. And Samantha knew that she would always be a part of that story, a story of art, of resistance, and of the unbreakable spirit of a neighborhood that had dared to dream.